Thank you all for coming. So I'm going to be presenting today on a library presence in our Canvas courses that we have at Nevada State College. One thing I want to iterate here is that this isn't a course. This is more of a reference and online presence as a point of need for our students at NSC. And so I'm going to talk about our approach to that, how it's kind of different from our website, or some of you who may be librarians or at least familiar with subject guides. There's a software company called SpringShare that does LibGuides, and kind of how I've incorporated apps or other LTIs and plugins into this presence. So before I get started, just by raise of hands, are there any other librarians in here? Oh, there's quite a bit here. Great. Awesome. Okay. So a little background about Nevada State College. We are a fairly new state school. We're kind of in a unique position. There aren't too many state institutions that are fairly new and upcoming. We're about 13 years old. We have an FTE of around 3,500 students. And most of our students are coming from the community colleges of Southern Nevada. So there are about 5 or 6 community colleges. We are the only 4-year state college in the state of Nevada. There are 2 large research institutions, University of Nevada, Reno, UNLV. So there really wasn't a 4-year state college in the state of Nevada, and that's what NSC is. A lot of our students are non-traditional. We have a lot of part-time students. We're more of a commuter campus. There's no on-campus housing. So a lot of our students are non-traditional in that they're older students coming back to school. Either they have families. Part-time students, a lot of them have full-time jobs coming to campus part-time. Okay, so a little bit about the Mary Dean Martin Library. So with a small campus, we have a small staff, small library. Right now it's the director, 2 instruction librarians. I'm one of them, our electronic resources librarian. She helps a lot with our online content. She oversees a lot of our ebook subscriptions, our databases, that type of thing for our online presence. Compared to a lot of colleges and universities, our collection budget is pretty small, but for that we make up for it in our collection. We have over 1.3 million ebooks. And one thing I forgot to note at NSC is we're getting 2 new buildings, and in one of those buildings we're going to get a new library, and we're moving in next month. I don't have the square footage, but to kind of put this 1.3 million ebooks into perspective, that collection, if it were a physical collection, would fill up both buildings, top to bottom. Each building, I believe, is 3 floors. So we have a large digital subscription. And with this new library, we're going to be the first digital library in Nevada. So we have our physical collection. Right now it's going to be retrieval only once we move, so it's going to be to storage. And part of that reasoning is that the physical collection wasn't being checked out enough. A lot of the resources that were being accessed were online content. Anyway, so we're going to have it in our old space, the storage there, and we'll be able to retrieve those materials there. In the new space, we'll probably have maybe 1,000 monographs, 1,000 physical collections there. The majority of what we're circulating is technology. So we have a Chromebook lending program, an iPad lending program. We're going to have a lot of collaborative space in there. We're going to have study rooms where students can hook up their devices onto a screen in the study rooms, and they can study that way. Okay, so why a Canvas presence? Well, first and foremost, all of the courses offered at NSC have a presence in Canvas. So whether it's face-to-face or, of course, hybrid and online courses, every student has access to their course in Canvas. So, whether it's just simply the syllabus or there are assignments that are assigned in Canvas, all students have access to that. And so the library didn't have a presence in there. Of course, we have the library webpage, and students can find the information they need on the library webpage. But the downside to that is we don't have someone in-house in the library who's the webpage administrator, the web developer. So we have to go through, I believe, college relations to put any requests for changes or to add things to the library webpage. It takes some time. Sometimes it's confusing for the webpage administrator to add that stuff. Sometimes it takes a while. And so I thought with access to Canvas, we can kind of control this, manipulate it, and we can put the necessary resources that we need in Canvas for our students at kind of a point of need access for students since they're already in Canvas. It also makes the library resources more visible. Of course, they can go to the library webpage, like I said, but since they're already in Canvas, they can quickly go to the databases, to the catalog, access contact information for any of the librarians. It's right there, and I'll show you the course shell in just a moment. But since they're already in Canvas, we're more visible that way. We can also provide online reference in Canvas. We've incorporated a chat. We can do email. I've done some embedding in School of Education. There's an educational technology course on how to incorporate technology into K through 12 classrooms. And I've kind of been embedded into those courses within Canvas, also providing resources from the library's website. So the online references. There's also a section for faculty resources. So a lot of faculty are browsing the webpage, and to be honest, our webpage isn't easy to navigate. It's actually quite confusing. And so they want to find out how to request library instruction or how to do an interlibrary loan. Any kind of reference question they have, they kind of have to dig for it. And so in this course shell, I specifically set up a section where faculty can go to the faculty resource area, and we've put areas for what faculty have requested the most. And it's versatile. Like I said, we have access to this. I can log in and manipulate or add anything, edit anything in this Canvas presence. And it allows for information literacy instruction opportunities. So I can be embedded, or one thing that we're going to try out is that we haven't done for our online classes is provide library instruction session strictly for online classes. We haven't been set up for that, but we're hoping with this new NSC Library Online presence that we can do library sessions through Canvas now. And most of those sessions are only one-shot sessions, meaning that they're for one class period, anywhere from 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And so even in that short amount of time, having a presence in Canvas for anything we covered, the students can directly go to that presence. So this is a screenshot of the new building. So we're going to be on the second floor there, pretty much on that whole right side. It's going to be our new building. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a look at our new library. And when creating this online presence for the library, it's important to identify who your stakeholders are. Why are you making this presence when you already have a web page or you have your subject guides? And mostly it's because of our students. They're already in there. Our faculty, they all have to create their course in Canvas. We can cater to the faculty in this area. And then who can you partner with? Academic Success Center has a presence in Canvas. And then the Writing Center. A lot of students, when they begin their research, they're going through library resources. They'll either do a library consultation or we do the library instruction one-shot session. They found all the resources, but we're not writing their paper for them. They're having troubles on getting started with their writing. So this is who you can partner with, the Writing Center, Academic Success Center, and collaborate. Maybe provide links in our library presence, and they can provide links in their presence to the NSC Library Online. And I added the students in the LMS. This was from EDUCAUSE 2012. It was a study of undergraduate students in information technology, and I thought it was pretty fitting in the way that most colleges and universities are utilizing LMSs. Technology infrastructure such as the library website and course or learning management systems are among the institutional technology resources that students use the most. And in our case at NSC, this is definitely true. We have a lot of students who commute to school. They come for their classes, and then they have to go pick up the kids or they have to go to their job. They're not able to come to the library or meet with the librarian. And the library webpage, like I said, isn't very robust. So this presence, I wanted it to be familiar to students since they're already in Canvas. They know what their course looks like. We're trying to emulate that with this library presence. So when I created this, there are some things to consider. The library director, my boss, kind of at first was really hesitant and said, well, this is just one more thing to try and maintain and request edits. Why do you want to do this? And are you going to be the point person for this? So you need to have someone who will maintain and create the presence and keep it up to date. And who's involved from the library outside? It's important to consult with maybe your subject liaison. So if you have subject liaisons who is a librarian for maybe the School of Nursing, School of Education, someone who works with social studies or social sciences, you may want to see what kind of content they access the most, what resources from the library they do, and kind of get an idea of what kind of presence you want to have in Canvas. Consistency. I think this is the biggie. For us at NSC, I would say we're pretty fortunate because the library and instructional technology are one unit. And directly right next to me is the head of instructional technology, and then one door down is the instructional designer. And with my role as the emerging technologies librarian, I get to implement a lot of technology into the library, and I have immediate access with them to work on what this shell will look like, what this presence will look like. And so I think it's very important to work with the LMS administrators in instructional technology so that your users have an experience that they're familiar with, something that's been proven already. They've done this for a while. They've set up templates, guidelines, or best practices. And so when I set this up, I definitely worked with them. We worked on this together to make this presence happen. And then, of course, differentiating from the library webpage. Like I said, my boss, the library director, said, what is the goal for offering this presence in Canvas? Are you just going to take a lot of our content that we already have on the library webpage and stick it into Canvas? I said, in a way, I kind of am, but as you know, as well as I do, it's kind of confusing and it's hard to find the resources that we need, and I hear it from students all the time. I want to make this presence user-friendly. We have control of it. We can experiment with it. We can add content to it. So I want to make this different from the web page, even though a lot of the resources that are there will be embedded to Canvas, but they'll have point-of-need access to it right away. And this also allows for online engagement by adding our chat widget in there. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment, but they can engage with us through quick reference, through a chat widget that we've plugged in, and then, of course, the contact button in there to contact us either by telephone or email. And this content that we provide in here is also can also be supplemental for courses in Canvas. So faculty, if they visit or point their students to the library resources, they can also pull some of that content and put it into their course, embed it into their course, or at least give a URL to direct students to this presence. And as far as services offered, like I said, we want to do the embedded librarianship. Right now we're doing reference on there. Students can do a one-on-one consultation. Faculty can request a library instruction session. We've added the widgets in there, some redirect URLs, the subject guides. So we've added our guides in there. So students who are nursing students or education majors, the guides are directly in there for them to easily find. And then the news. As far as news goes, I don't know, some faculty at NSC have a Twitter feed based on their course. We have a Twitter feed on our homepage where we can update students on a latest acquisition as far as an ebook or the latest database or news or events that are happening. Recently it was the Chromebook lending option, letting the students know that they can come and check out a Chromebook, that type of thing. And so that's a live feed right next to the chat widget too, just updating students on the type of things that are going on in the library. Okay, so this is a screenshot of the library's webpage. I'm going to go into it right away. Let me just click on this. Okay. Let's see, I'm not used to using a Mac. So when I was working with the instructional designer and instructional technology, one thing that they all wanted to do was have some consistency for the way courses look. And so when I set this course up, I thought it was important that the library also follow that protocol. And you'll notice at the top we have that banner, Nevada State College, and then Welcome to the Mary Dean Martin Library. Most of the courses have that banner, NSC, followed by the course that the student is enrolled in. And then usually some generic images there with buttons that follow right beneath. Those images right now, I didn't want to include images from our old library since we're moving into the new library, but I don't have any images of the new library yet. But we've kind of added that visual appeal there. And then the buttons. And all the buttons are different based on the class, but those 4 areas I thought were important. The Start Here, the Contact Us, Faculty Resources, and Research Help. And let me go in. I'll start with the Start Here. So this is a redirect. And this isn't our library webpage. This page was created specifically based on what students wanted the most and needed, and it's made because a lot of the content is easily accessible. Let me see if I can. There we are. So the access and connect. A lot of new students. How do I get my library card? How do I access the online resources? Borrowing, interlibrary loan. How to renew materials. The student services, so the personal librarian, a research consultation, and then there's the instructor services area for requesting a library session. There's information about the collection, so the library catalog, the e-resources we have, and then, of course, the research guides where students in certain subject areas can quickly access those materials. Going back, the contact area is just that, the contact. So the general phone and email area, along with all of our library staff here that they can quickly access. Let me go back. And then the faculty resources. So this was another page that we created based on faculty input, as well as a lot of the requests that were coming in. So the biggie, library instruction, they want a library session. This link will direct them directly to a form to request a session, and they can request any of the librarians. A lot of them also have items that they need to place on reserve. So whether it's a DVD or a book or maybe a journal article, they have direct access to placing items on reserve. And then a lot of them have questions in terms of copyright and fair use on what they can embed in their course shell. That'll kind of take them to that area where they can kind of determine whether or not they can use certain content in their Canvas course. Collection request, there's faculty that are requesting certain materials. They can click that link, and then embedding content, films on demand. We included the films on demand specifically because there are a lot of faculty that want to show clips of movies or streaming media in their course, and that is our main resource in terms of streaming content to be included in the course. And it'll also take them to a section on how to do that, how to embed that content into their course. Okay, so the big one is this research help. And this is an area specifically for students when they get started with their research papers. So a lot of the library consultation requests that I get or the library instruction requests that I get are based around a research paper or a research project that the students need to do. Where it's circling, there should be a video screen there. But what we have there is third-party software from ProQuest. They've created, it's called Research Companion. And what they have are modules that are generic enough that we can edit them and manipulate them for our NSC databases and resources. And they have a playlist there where we can do that manipulation for our resources. And unfortunately, the playlist is not showing, but it's everything from a video that the first video is titled Feeling Overwhelmed, because a lot of new incoming students, this is their first major research paper that they need to do. So everything from getting started at the very basic level to finding resources, asking the right questions, refining the topic. And what we're hoping to do with this area on the research help is kind of do a flipped classroom approach. So this fall, I'm going to be partnering with a faculty member from our English department and do this with English 101 and 102, and hopefully have the students watch this playlist, become familiar with the resources that I've embedded here in this Canvas course, and think about the research topic. That way, when I get to the class to do the short, I only have 45 minutes to an hour, we can get right to their research topic or any question that they've encountered when they've tried to do this themselves, instead of me not necessarily wasting time, but essentially wasting time trying to show them which database is which, how to access it, and navigate a web page, and I can actually help them focus more on their research assignment. So that's what this area is. And you'll notice right underneath, we also have an area for this personal librarian program that we have. So even though we're a small staff, we don't have a liaison model, a lot of us who are comfortable or at least familiar with a certain discipline or subject area are assigned a school. For example, I do humanities, social sciences, and School of Education. Another librarian does School of Nursing and that type of thing. So students also have this area to request a consultation or at least email or contact a librarian based on maybe the course that they're in, whether it's English or nursing, so that they can find the information that they need. Lastly, it's a little bit cut off. Let me see if I can move this over. On the left-hand side, right here, I included a few different links right there. The NSC library is just a redirect to our library webpage. It takes them right to the catalog, our library homepage. I don't want to get into that really, but that's just a redirect there. The other thing is the citation guide. So a lot of students are doing their research. This is their first time that they've had to really dig in and cite sources correctly. This is through the LibGuide, through SpringShare LibGuides, we've included our subject guides. So whether they're assigned to do APA or MLA, we have that here, and they can see actual examples of how to cite, whether it's a book, an ebook, an academic, online journal article, that type of thing. They can access the this citation subject guide. And we also have links on there. Some of them are familiar with the OWL at Purdue site, which is a little bit more robust and goes in depth for questions that they may have. I've also included this interlibrary loan. A lot of faculty, they're on the tenure track. They need to do some research. They're looking for a specific book or journal article. We get a lot of those requests. So I felt it was important to have a direct link to the interlibrary loan. They'll just need to log in with their school credentials. And the first time they log in, they'll only need to do it once, and they'll recognize who they are once they log into Canvas. And then any materials they want to request, they can do it that way. And then the copyright and fair use, just us being librarians in terms of making sure the content is fair use and that they can embed content legally into their course content, as well as students when they have questions when they're presenting, whether it's a PowerPoint or in their research paper, whether they can embed certain images or certain clips or streaming media. This is a great area to reference for them. The modules, we just included on that. It's kind of a generic minimum technical requirements, the academic calendar, contact us, expectations. Yeah, when I worked with the instructional designer, she felt that it was just important to get that on there. It's Module 0. A lot of the courses have this Module 0 where it has all that. So students are making sure that their laptop or their tablet is up to date so that they can access the material in Canvas. Going back to this home page, I want to show you. So, if I could expand this a little bit, and it's not really allowing me because it'll cut off, but it's pretty clean. There's not a whole lot of information on there. I have the 4 buttons at the top, and then right underneath, the hours, so I can manipulate the hours right away. Like I said, usually I have to put the request in to the web developer. Hopefully they'll get to it right away, but with access to Canvas, I can do it myself. Manipulate that. We have the chat feature right there. We use a program called Pigeon, and we found an iframe code. I worked with the instructional designer. She helped me embed it in there. And the great thing about this chat feature is right now it's showing there is a librarian online. It'll show available. When there isn't one, it'll say not available and it'll turn red. But students know that way if they have a quick question or some reference question, they can quickly chat in. And then, of course, the Twitter feed right there. As far as for news or highlighting a new book database that the library offers. So let me go back to the PowerPoint. So with this course shell, what I'm hoping for, and I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, is this flipped classroom approach. We have one-shot sessions, and so I'm hoping with that Research Help Center, the students will be able to watch that playlist, explore this Canvas presence, and then I don't know if any of our classes at NSC are using badges, but it might be a good way to have students who have completed that incorporate the badges area that Canvas already provides. And, students can see their peers in their classroom who's completed it and, who's doing this research help. That way, when I get to the class to do the instruction session, we can get right to their research questions that they have based on their topic. And that's utilizing this research companion. It's helpful because there are little quizzes along the way that we can maybe utilize with helping incorporate the badges that way. Exploring LTIs, other apps, software plugins. So right now I have the direct links to the LibGuides. I found the iframe for the chat widget, the Twitter feed. Canvas is always adding new apps and new plugins in there. So just trying to keep up with that. I went to a session today about Commons. Maybe exploring that area, see what we can add into our Canvas shell that way. And then streamlining the resources. So like I said, this shell, I wanted it to be quick point-of-need access for students and faculty so they can directly go to the interlibrary loan. Students can quickly access personal librarian consultation, the chat widget's right there. And then lastly, in talking with the head of instructional design, down the road, we want to incorporate an online repository for online learning objects. And with that repository, I feel like this may be a good section for the library to be a part of and maybe house that repository. What that looks like, I'm not sure yet. But since we have this presence in Canvas with learning objects, I feel like this would be an area that the library could participate in. Any questions? Yes?
Can that chat widget go into other people's, for example, and maybe the other thing you had next to that go into other Canvas courses?
So the question is, can the chat widget go into the other courses or the Twitter feed? I don't think the Twitter feed, because it's our account, and I think in order to plug the Twitter feed app in, they need to have access to our account, and we're not going to share that. As far as the chat widget, I'm not sure. When I embedded that, I just got the iframe from our administrative account, so I don't think so, because that might be something we'd also need to share, so I don't think we can embed that chat widget.
Somebody made that at your institution?
The iframe code?
No,
it was available through the administrative login website. There's a resources area, and they provided a code for that. And we tried it out, and it ended up working. When we did the HTML, when we were creating our shell, on the edit section, the HTML, we plugged the iframe code in there, saved it, refreshed the page, and the chat box showed up. Yes.
How do your students get access to this?
To the resources? So the question is, how do our students get access to the resources? So like I said, every student will need to access their course in Canvas, so they'll need to log in with their NSC credentials, so their NSCHI ID and password. Once they're logged in, they're authenticated, and so Canvas recognizes too that with a lot of these redirects too, that they're already logged in. They'll have direct access whether they're from home. If they're on campus on a campus computer, once they're logged in, it'll recognize it. But if they're from home and authenticated, they have direct access to the journal articles and the databases that way.
Is it in the course list?
The
How does it show up for the students? Is it
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, good question. So where this is listed at the top of once students log into Canvas, there's their courses, and I forget what the other two are in the middle, and then there's a section for resources. If the students click on the resources, there's a drop-down menu. Academic Success Center, I believe, has a presence in there. That's where we're listed, is right in that resources area. Students can click on NSC Library Online, and it'll take them to this NSC online presence.
My question is, are there any lessons learned or something you tried that didn't work?
The question is, are there any lessons or something that we've tried that hasn't worked? This is somewhat fairly new. I just started this presence this past January of this year. I don't know. I mean, we can check the statistics as far as page hits. Every time I do a library instruction session, I definitely go to our this presence instead of our web page, even though I show them both. But I tell them, since you're already doing work in Canvas, this is quick and easy for you to get to the course material. As far as something that hasn't worked yet, I'm not sure. We'll see how this flipped classroom approach works and kind of see where that goes. Yes?
Can you say more about how you drop into other classes and provide a module or have a presence in their classes? Is the instructor enrolling you, or do you have administrative access and you just jump in? Or?
Yes, so it's kind of how I've been embedded into, the question is how I've been embedded into another class. This past spring semester, a faculty member from the School of Education who taught an educational technology course to incorporate technology into K-12 classrooms asked me to kind of be the moderator for the discussion board in Canvas. I don't know if the discussion board has a specific name. I can't remember. But I was enrolled with, by that instructor, they contacted Instructional Technology to have me enrolled as a teacher in that course. And so I was the moderator of that classroom, responding to questions as well as providing resources through URLs or just different resources that the library had in that chat. So as far as being embedded online, that's kind of what we've done. We haven't done the instruction session for online courses, but that's what I've done so far. Yes?
You've told us what's in the pages, but how did you build the web presence in there? Is it a Canvas shell? Is it some other resource page? Do you use nested boxes in there? Are you pulling stuff off Canvas?
So working with, the question is how I built this presence online. Working with the instructional technology and the instructional designer, they have a template. And within that template, I worked with them saying, this is what I want to show up in this area, in that area of the template. So on the home page, the buttons, I told them I want it to be this page, this is what I have, whether it was HTML code or that type of thing. They plugged it in there, renamed the button, so that it looks like the other courses that students are enrolled in, but this is a library presence, so it's library research help, faculty resources, that type of thing. So it's a same template that's being used for other courses, just with the library's content.
Is it a course shell?
Is it a public course shell?
Yes, it is a public course shell. Yes.
For certain aspects like the live chat that you use iframe for, couldn't you theoretically, I mean, we push a template to all courses.
Mm-hmm.
So couldn't we basically build that iframe right onto the course template so every single course would have the chat frame right on the course homepage, and then students wouldn't even have to leave their course and begin chatting with the librarian?
The question is the chat feature with the iframe, embedding it into courses so that all students would have access to the chat feature in the course without having to leave the course. To be honest with you, I don't have an answer, but that is actually a very good question, because I'm going to ask our instructional technology, our instructional designer, if we can do that. And if you don't mind, Tony, if I don't put you on the spot, is that a possibility?
It works. It'll work.
Okay, there you go. I think we have time for one more question.
Since you have both the Canvas presence and a page for the library, is that a problem with your students, like which one to go to? And do you have plans to sort of get rid of the library page and just do Canvas?
So the question is if we have problems differentiating with students between the library webpage and the Canvas presence. I'm not aware of any problems yet. For incoming new students, I think the advisors kind of go over the library's resources, but until they're enrolled, they won't see this Canvas presence. They won't necessarily be in Canvas. So we'll see, but like I said, when I do instruction, I mostly start off with this Canvas presence, and then I'll briefly go over the library's webpage. And we're doing a new content management system for the library. The web designer is using a new content management system to revamp all of the college's website. And so we don't have access to that yet. Apparently, some of the library staff will get trained on that library webpage, and we'll be able to manipulate it a little bit more. But in terms of ease of access and able to manipulate the content that we want, Canvas has proven an easy resource to do that. All right, thank you guys.